some of the stuff that I read, I saw evidence that the rosary came from the first Sumerian culture. That's where they got it. And then there's similar rosary
Right.
in the Hindu called the melon bead something.
We are a Mesopotamian religion. Like, we come from even the Mesopotamians have a god called Yahweh, and that is their storm god, and that is the version of Zeus. Okay, but the reason why we know what we know and we trust what we trust is because we have the Bible that has withstood the test of time, has come through, has been verified, has been lived out, right? And it kind of like discerns the spirits in a way. So who is Yahweh? And he appeared to us and gave us the 10 Commandments. There was a burning bush. There's all this evidence that we have, as far as, you know, the rosary and like its tradition, how far back it goes. There was a version of the rosary before it was the rosary. We always prayed with beads. We might have gotten practices from Mesopotamia. I know that some curses in Egypt share the same language as Genesis, telling them to cast away the serpent, to cast away the seraph, which is their form of like a demon. Or so it's all going to be muddled together, but we have to rely on what we do know.
We do. There is the verse in Matthew 6:7 where it says, God says, do not repeat the same thing as the pagans, so not repeat prayers.
Right.
So we do that in that.
We don't repeat prayers. We're re-inviting the same instance. We're reliving the same instance. And this is vain repetition, by the way. This is not for ourselves. We're looking at the eyes of Jesus. You know, if you're looking at the meditation, we're only talking the words, Hail Mary, full of grace. So that's one thing that captures our voice. But then the meditation comes second. In order to pray the rosary, you need to focus on the meditation. So it's never on one thing over and over again. It's always, I'm focusing on the meditation. And when I say the first rosary, maybe I'm thinking of, give me a meditation. Maybe, okay, the crowning of thorns. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women. Blessed art thou. You know, they get the rod and they stick it in harder. And I'm trying to keep that in my mind and focus on that, so I can get closer to God and experience what He experienced more, so I can love Him more. Okay, and I say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, just so I can capture that, and so the devil doesn't distract me in that sense of the form. You say these things over and over again. You listen to worship music. You don't listen to bad music, so that it clouds your mind, so that when you're on the toilet, when you're walking down the street, you're not thinking of hip-hop music or Transformers or, you know, K-pop Demon Hunters, whatever is popular right now. You're thinking of things, holy meditations, and holy just means separate. Okay, we're trying to separate ourselves from these times, put ourselves back in the past. This is not vain repetition, I promise you. I know this is just a biblical instance. We're proclaiming the angel who says, Hail Mary, full of grace. Mary's a hard one. Because even I'm thinking like, I was asking myself and I was struggling with it, bro. And I was thinking like, why pray to Mary when we could just pray to God? But we have a chance to love God like a mother did. And that's perfect love.
Yeah, verse 11, I think 7 in Luke, where a lot of Protestant people like to use it. 11:27, where he kind of downplaying his mother by saying woman.
Exactly.
I know you spoke a little bit about it earlier.
So he says woman twice, actually.
Right.
In the beginning of his ministry and at the end of his ministry when he dies on the cross.
And so he says to John.
Point that out. Emphasize Jesus knows. Okay, we all know he is entering his ministry, but what does that mean? He's going to now not be Jesus anymore. He's going to be Christ. Christ is a new Adam. Christ is the new Adam. Okay, so just as Christ restored the humanity from the men, also humanity needs to be restored in the woman's sense. And so he also putting Mary in that role by calling her woman, letting her know that this is where our ministry is going to start. So you are no longer my mother, you are woman. And the salutation is not woman, it's more like ma'am or Mrs. But I don't care woman, because she is the woman and Jesus is the man. He's the patriarch, she's the queen. That is how the Davidic line works. There is a quote from Samuel. I'm going to my DMs because I just sent it to my friend. Samuel, which is in Kings 2:19. Bathsheba therefore went to King Solomon to speak to him, and the king rose up to meet her and bowed to her. The king bows to the queen and sat down on his throne, and had a throne set for the king's mother, so she sat on his right hand. That's what it says in the Bible.
That was King
2:19. Yeah. Let me give one more crescendo for our Blessed Mother. Okay. So we know Genesis is a declaration of war, and her divine yes. And Mary knew this, okay? She was Jewish. She knew the scriptures. She knew that the prophecies, what the prophecies foretold. Like I said, Mary, did you know? Yeah, she did. Okay, but her divine yes is the first shot in the battle, okay? In the Passion, we see it the entire time. Even the devil is trying to figure out if Jesus is the Messiah. He's tempting Jesus, testing him. If he knew he was the Messiah, he would have done something a lot more worse. He was testing to see who this man was. And it wasn't until she was knelt in front of him, offering her son as a sacrifice. And he said, into my hands I commend your spirit, okay? That is considered the most glorious moment in human history. That is the moment where death is defeated. Okay, we believe instantly that. And it took us 3 days, but Christ already broken and the gates of heaven were open. But that is the most glorious moment in human history. A mother kneeling, offering up her son for sacrifice for the whole entire world. And I got that from the Top Exorcist. If you want to get more mad on how powerful Mary is, you can look up Mary's Role in Spiritual Warfare by Father Chad Ripperger. Thank you.